They buried their mother under a gray sky that didn't feel big enough to hold their grief. No music played. No long speeches were given. Just the sound of dirt hitting wood and two small hands clenching each other so tightly it hurt. Lena Carter was 12. Her sister, Maya, was barely 8. And by the time the last guest walked away from the cemetery, the girls understood something terrifying. They weren't just orphans now. They were alone. The city of Ravenport, Illinois, buzzed around them like nothing had happened. Cars honked. People laughed. Life moved forward, just not for them. Their mother, Elena Carter, had been everything. Provider, protector, shield. And now she was gone. No father, no house they could return to, no relatives waiting with open arms. Just two girls, standing by a fresh grave, clutching a single worn backpack that held all they had left. Inside it, a change of clothes, a folded photo of their mother, and $23 in crumpled bills. That was it. The first night, they slept on a bus bench. Lena stayed awake the entire time. She counted footsteps. She memorized shadows. She learned how dangerous silence could be. When Maya whimpered in her sleep, Lena wrapped her arms around her and whispered lies. "It's okay," she said. "We'll be fine." But she didn't believe it. By the second day, hunger hit hard. Not the polite kind. The sharp, shaking kind that made Maya dizzy and quiet. They wandered the downtown streets until their feet hurt, pretending to browse store windows so security wouldn't chase them away. That was when they saw it. A restaurant that didn't fit the street. Black marble exterior. Soft golden lights inside. No menu posted outside. Just a symbol carved into the glass door, a silver dragon. Lena felt something in her chest tighten. People went in looking tense. They came out relieved. Some came out richer. Some came out shaken. No one ever came out laughing. Maya tugged Lena's sleeve. "I'm hungry," she whispered. Lena hesitated. Every instinct told her to keep walking. Places like that didn't help girls like them. But her sister's hands were trembling. So Lena did something she'd never done before. She pushed the door open. The warmth hit them first. Then the smell, real food. Steak, rice, soup. The restaurant was quiet. Too quiet. Men in dark suits sat at separate tables. Speaking low, eyes sharp. Nobody was eating casually. Nobody relaxed. And then the room changed. Not because someone entered. Because someone stood up. At the far end of the restaurant, a man rose slowly from his seat. He was tall, broad, bald. A black suit clung to a body built for violence, not comfort. His shirt was unbuttoned, revealing heavy black tattoos crawling across his neck and chest like living things. His eyes locked onto the girls instantly, not with surprise, with recognition. The room froze. No one spoke. No one moved. This was Dominic Cade, the man newspapers called a phantom, the man police whispered about but never arrested, the man Ravenport's underworld answered to without question, a mafia boss. Lena felt her heart slam against her ribs. She grabbed Maya's hand and turned to leave. Too late. Dominic walked toward them. Each step was calm, controlled, final. Men shifted in their seats. A waiter subtly stepped back. Dominic stopped in front of the girls and crouched, lowering himself until he was eye level with Maya. "What are you doing here?" he asked. His voice wasn't loud. That somehow made it worse. Lena swallowed hard. "We're sorry," she rushed out. "We'll leave. We didn't know." Dominic raised one finger. She stopped instantly. His gaze moved between the girls, sharp and calculating. But underneath it, something else flickered. Pain. "How long since you last ate?" he asked. Maya answered before Lena could stop her. "Yesterday morning." The restaurant went silent again. Dominic's jaw tightened. "Who's with you?" he asked. Lena hesitated. "It's just us." That did it. Dominic stood up slowly, and for the first time since they'd walked in, fear rippled through the room. He turned to the staff. "Clear that corner table," he said. "Bring soup, bread, water. Now!" The waiter rushed off. Lena stared, confused, suspicious. "We don't have money," she said quickly. "We're not trying to—" Dominic looked at her. "I didn't ask for money." He gestured toward the table. "Sit." They obeyed. Maya devoured the soup like she hadn't eaten in weeks. Lena forced herself to eat slower, watching everything. Dominic remained standing nearby. "Where's your mother?" he asked. Lena's throat closed. "She died," she said. "When?" "3 days ago." The words hung heavy between them. Dominic didn't respond immediately. His gaze drifted toward the window, unfocused, like he was seeing something far away. "Buried?" he asked quietly. Lena nodded. For a moment, the feared Mafia boss of Ravenport looked hollow. "My mother died when I was 10, Dominic said. "No one came for me either." Lena looked up sharply. That wasn't what she expected. Dominic turned back to them. "You sleeping outside?" Lena nodded again. Dominic exhaled slowly, like he was losing an argument with himself. "You can stay upstairs tonight," he said. Lena froze. "What?" "There's an empty room above the restaurant," he continued. "It's safe. Warm. Food in the morning." She shook her head. "No, we don't want trouble." Dominic's eyes hardened, not with anger, but certainty. "You already have trouble," he said. "I'm offering shelter." Maya looked up at Lena, eyes wide with hope and fear mixed together. Lena hesitated. Every warning screamed at her, but so did hunger, cold, exhaustion, and something else. Trust, dangerous, fragile, desperate. "Just for one night," Lena said. Dominic nodded. "One night," he agreed, as they followed him upstairs. Lena didn't know this moment would change everything. She didn't know the room they slept in once belonged to men who never walked out alive. She didn't know the people watching them from the street would report this to others. And she definitely didn't know that by offering shelter to 2 homeless girls, Dominic Cade had just declared war on his own world. The morning didn't feel real. Lena woke up to silence, not the dangerous street silence she'd learned to fear, but the heavy, protected kind that only existed behind locked doors. For a second, panic surged through her. She sat up fast. They weren't on a bus bench. They weren't under cardboard or streetlights. They were in a clean room, real walls, a real bed, a blanket that actually smelled like laundry soap. Maya was still asleep beside her, curled into the pillow like she didn't want the dream to end. Lena pressed her hand against her chest, steadying her breathing. Upstairs. The restaurant. The man. Dominic Cade. She slipped out of bed quietly and opened the door a crack. Downstairs. The restaurant looked different in daylight. Less threatening. Almost normal. Dominic sat alone at a corner table. Black coffee in front of him. Suit jacket off. Tattoos visible. Calm. Still, like he'd been there all night. He noticed her immediately. "You're awake," he said. Lena nodded, stepping closer, but keeping distance. "Thank you," she said quickly, "for letting us stay." Dominic studied her for a long moment. "You're the older one," he said. "Not a question." "Yes. You think before you speak." She didn't respond. He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit." She obeyed. "Your sister sleep okay?" he asked. "Yes." "Good," Dominic thought. He slid a plate toward her, eggs, toast, fruit. She hesitated. "You'll need strength today," he said. Her stomach betrayed her pride. She ate. Halfway through, Dominic spoke again. "Child services will come," he said calmly. The fork froze midair. "What?" They always do, he continued. Hospitals, funerals, schools. Someone reports 2 minors without guardians. Lena's heart pounded. They'll take us, she asked. Yes. The word landed like a punch. They'll separate us, she whispered. Dominic's jaw tightened. Likely. Lena stood up so fast the chair scraped loudly. No, we won't go. Dominic didn't raise his voice. You don't get to choose, he said evenly. The system does. She clenched her fists, tears burning her eyes. They can't, she said. We didn't do anything wrong. No, Dominic said, but the system doesn't care about right. It cares about boxes. At that moment, Maya appeared at the stairs. Lena, she called softly. Dominic stood. Finish eating, he told Lena. We'll talk. The knock came at 10:17 a.m. 3 sharp taps. Official. Dominic didn't flinch. 2 women stood outside, neat coats, badges visible. Department of Child and Family Services. The older one smiled professionally. Mr. Cade, she said, we receive a report of 2 minors residing here. Yes, Dominic replied. They're with me? The woman's smile tightened. And your relationship to them? Dominic didn't hesitate. They're under my protection. The second agent glanced at her tablet. You're not listed as a legal guardian. No, Dominic said. I'm listed as the reason they're safe. That didn't impress them. They insisted on seeing the girls. Maya clung to Lena's jacket as the agents asked questions. Names, ages, school. When they asked about relatives, Lena spoke up. Our aunt, she said. Zara Ellis. She lives here, in Ravenport. That made the agents pause. Does she have housing? One asked. Lena hesitated. I don't know. That answer sealed it. We'll need to place the girls in temporary foster care until legal custody is resolved, the agent said. Maya began to cry. No, she sobbed. Please. Dominic stepped forward. They're not leaving today, he said quietly. The agent stiffened. Sir, I'll call their aunt, Dominic continued. She'll be here within the hour. The older agent exhaled sharply. We'll allow a brief delay, she said. But if she doesn't meet requirements, the girls leave with us. They left. Maya collapsed into Lena's arms. Dominic watched them, expression unreadable. Then he picked up his phone. Zara Ellis arrived an hour later in a rusted sedan with one headlight out. She was breathless, eyes red, clothes wrinkled from sleeping in them. When she saw the girls, she broke. My babies, she cried, dropping to her knees. She hugged them fiercely, like if she let go they'd vanish. I'm sorry, she whispered over and over. I tried. I swear I tried. Dominic observed from a distance. Zara stood and finally noticed him. Her posture changed instantly. Protective, suspicious. Who are you? She asked. Someone who didn't let your nieces sleep on concrete, Dominic replied. That shut her up. The agents returned. They inspected Zara's documents. No stable housing. Part-time income. No approved residence. The verdict was clear. They'll be placed in foster care, the agent said. Zara's face crumpled. Please, she begged. They're all I have left. Dominic stepped in. I own 3 properties in this city, he said calmly. She'll live in one. Rent-free. The agents blinked. I'll cover expenses. School. Health care. Legal fees. Silence. That doesn't make her a guardian, the agent said. No, Dominic replied, but removes every reason you're using to take the girls. The agents exchanged glances. We'll need documentation, one said. You'll have it today, Dominic answered. Zara stared at him. Why are you doing this? She asked. Dominic met her eyes. Because someone should have done it for me. By nightfall, paperwork was filed. Temporary guardianship was granted. The girls stayed, but not without consequences. Dominic's phone rang nonstop. Warnings, questions, threats disguised a concern. And none came from the police. They came from inside his organization. That night, Dominic stood on the balcony of his private residence, the one Zara and the girls were moved into. Lights flickered across Ravenport below. His uncle's voice echoed in his head. "You're losing focus." The call came as expected. "Children?" Victor sneered. "You've turned my nephew into a social worker?" "They're not a weakness," Dominic replied. "They're leverage," Victor said coldly. "Against you." Dominic ended the call. Inside, Maya laughed for the first time in days. Zara watched her with tears in her eyes. Lena stood beside Dominic. "They won't take us?" she asked quietly. "No," he said, "but others might try." She looked up at him. "Why are you really helping us?" Dominic didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because if I don't, I become the man I hate." Outside, unseen eyes watched the house. And deep inside the underworld of Ravenport, a decision was being made. Protecting those girls meant one thing now. Blood would follow. The first sign something was wrong came as a whisper in the dark. Not a scream, not a gunshot, not even a threat. Just a soft click. Lena heard it through the thin curtain of sleep. The way you hear a door handle move in a house that's supposed to be locked. Her eyes snapped open. For one breath, she didn't move. She didn't blink. She didn't even inhale. She listened. Another sound. A faint shuffle downstairs. Lena slid out of bed silently, her bare feet touching the cold floor. Maya was curled on the blanket beside her, unaware, small chest rising and falling. Lena didn't want to wake her. Not yet. She crept to the bedroom door and cracked it open just enough to see the hallway. Dark, quiet, but the air felt wrong, like the house was holding its breath. Then she saw it, a shadow at the far end of the hall, moving slowly. Lena's stomach dropped. She slammed the door shut and shook Maya's shoulder hard. "Maya," she whispered urgently. "Wake up." Maya mumbled and rolled over. "Now," Lena hissed. Maya's eyes opened halfway. "What?" Lena clapped a hand over her mouth. "Quiet." Maya froze, suddenly awake, eyes wide with fear. Lena's mind raced. The house had security. Dominic said it was safe. Dominic promised. The doorknob turned. Slow, deliberate. Lena grabbed Maya and pulled her into the closet. They squeezed between hanging coats and old boxes. Lena held Maya tight, one hand over her mouth, the other clenched around a metal hanger she yanked off the rack. The door opened. A sliver of hallway light spilled into the room. Footsteps. Soft. Controlled. A man entered. Lena could see part of him through the crack in the closet door. Boots, black pants, a gloved hand. He moved like he belonged. Like he'd done this before. He scanned the room. Lena's heart pounded so hard she thought the man would hear it. Then Maya's breath hitched. Lena pressed her hand tighter over her sister's mouth. The man paused, turned his head slightly. Closer. One slow step toward the closet. Lena lifted the hanger, ready to swing it like a weapon. The man reached for the closet handle. And then the bedroom door exploded inward. A thunderous crash. A voice like steel. "Step away." Dominic caved. The man froze. Dominic stood in the doorway, shirt open under his black suit, tattoos visible like warnings, a handgun in his fist. Behind him, two of his men rushed in, weapons raised. The intruder slowly lifted both hands. Dominic's eyes were cold. "Who sent you?" he asked. The intruder's mouth twitched in a half-smile. "No one sent me," he said. "I'm just checking if your house is still yours." Dominic's jaw tightened. He stepped forward. The intruder's eyes flicked to Dominic's gun, then to Dominic's tattoos, then to Dominic's face. "You're slipping," the man said softly. "Your uncle was right." Dominic didn't blink. He slammed the intruder into the wall, so hard the frame shook. "You tell Victor," Dominic growled, "that if he reaches for what I protect again, I'll cut his whole hand off." The man laughed through pain. Dominic's men dragged him out. Only after the footsteps faded did Lena slowly open the closet door. Maya stumbled out crying. Dominic looked at them, really looked, and something in his expression shifted. Anger, yes, but underneath it, guilt. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Lena stared at him. "You said we were safe." Dominic's gaze held hers. "You are," he replied, His voice dropped. But now I have to make sure everyone else knows that too. By morning, the house was crawling with Dominic's men. Security cameras installed. Locks changed. Patrols outside. Zara stood in the kitchen, arms crossed tight, staring at Dominic like she didn't know whether to thank him or run. "You told me this place was hidden," she said sharply. "It was," Dominic replied. "So, how did someone get in?" Dominic didn't answer immediately. He stared at the coffee in his cup like he could see the truth in it. Then he said, "Because my blood is the one thing I can't hide from." Zara's face tightened. "Your uncle," she said. Dominic nodded once. Zara exhaled shakily. "I'm not raising those girls inside a war." "You're not," Dominic said, but Zara stepped closer. "Then end it," she demanded, "or step away from us." Silence. Dominic's eyes met hers. "You don't understand," he said quietly. Zara's voice broke. "No, you don't understand. Their mother died. They buried her. Then the world tried to bury them too. I finally got them back." Tears rose in her eyes. "I'm not losing them to your enemies." Dominic's jaw tightened. "You won't," he said firmly. Zara's eyes flashed. "Promise?" Dominic stared at her for a long time. Then he nodded. "I promise." And in Dominic Cade's world, a promise was more binding than paper. That afternoon, Dominic went to the one place even he avoided unless necessary, the Cade family warehouse. A massive brick building by the river, where business was done the old way. Quiet, bloody, final. Victor was already waiting. Dominic's uncle sat at a long table, surrounded by men in suits with dead eyes. Victor smiled slowly as Dominic entered. "There he is," Victor said, voice warm like poison. "The new father of the year." Dominic didn't sit. He stood across from the table, gun visible at his waist. "You sent someone into my house," Dominic said. Victor feigned innocence. "I don't know what you mean." Dominic stepped forward. "Don't lie to me." Victor leaned back, spreading his hands. "My nephew," he sighed. "You're emotional." His smile sharpened. "That's the problem." Dominic's men tensed. Victor's men tensed. One wrong word, and the room would become a grave. Victor continued calmly. "I built this empire," he said. "I carried you on my back after your mother died. I fed you, trained you, gave you teeth." Dominic's eyes didn't move. "And now," Victor said, "you're risking it over 2 street girls and a broke aunt." Dominic's voice was low. "They're not street girls. They're children." Victor chuckled. "Children grow up," he said, "and then they talk." Dominic's gaze sharpened. Victor leaned forward. "Do you know what weakness looks like?" Victor whispered. "It looks like you bringing strangers into our circle." Dominic's hand tightened at his side. Victor's smile widened. "You're in love," Victor said. The room went silent. Dominic's eyes went ice cold. Victor continued, savoring it. "You're falling for the aunt," he said softly. "I saw in your eyes the moment you chose him over business." Dominic took one step closer. Victor's men shifted. Dominic's men shifted. Victor raised a finger. "And before you deny it, ask yourself this." Victor's eyes glinted. "If she lives, will you still lead us?" Dominic's voice was barely above a whisper. "Don't say her name." Victor smiled slowly. "Zara." Dominic moved like a strike. He slammed Victor's chair backward, so hard it hit the floor. Guns came out. Men shouted. But Dominic didn't shoot. He leaned down over Victor, his tattooed neck flexing, eyes burning. "You touch her," Dominic hissed, "and I will burn this whole empire down with you inside it." Victor's smile didn't fade, because Victor wasn't scared. He was pleased. "You're proving my point," Victor murmured. "You're not thinking like a boss." Dominic straightened slowly. Silence returned, thick and deadly. Victor stood up, fixing his suit. "No hard feelings," he said smoothly. "You're family." Dominic stared at him. Victor leaned closer. "And family," Victor whispered, "always pays." That night, Dominic returned to the house quieter than usual. Zara was in the living room. sitting on the edge of the couch like she'd been waiting for him. The girls were asleep upstairs. The house was dim, lit by one lamp. Dominic walked in, removed his jacket, and set it down carefully. Zara watched him. "You went to see him," she said. Dominic nodded once. "What happened?" Zara asked. Dominic hesitated. "I made it clear," he said, "that you're not to be touched." Zara's eyes narrowed. "That's not what I asked." Dominic exhaled. "He thinks you're my weakness," he admitted. Zara's face softened slightly. "And is he right?" she asked quietly. Dominic looked at her. For a moment, the Mafia boss mask cracked. He looked tired, older, human. "I don't know what you are to me," Dominic said honestly, "but I know what you are to them." He gestured upstairs. "You're their last piece of home." Zara's eyes filled with tears. "And what are they to you?" she asked. Dominic's voice was low. "Their second chance." Zara swallowed hard. "You can't save everyone," she whispered. Dominic stepped closer. "I'm not trying to save everyone," he replied. He paused. "Just them." The air between them tightened, charged with something dangerous. Zara's breathing slowed. Dominic's eyes held hers. For a heartbeat, it felt like the world outside didn't exist. Then Dominic's phone buzzed. He looked down. His expression changed instantly. Cold, sharp. Zara saw it. "What?" she asked. Dominic stared at the screen. Then he said two words that made Zara's blood turn to ice. "They moved." Zara stood quickly. "Who?" Dominic's gaze snapped to the staircase. "The ones Victor sent," he said. "And this time—" He reached into his jacket and pulled out his gun. "They're not coming to scare you." He looked at Zara, voice like stone. "They're coming to take you." The first gunshot shattered the night at 2:11 a.m. Not outside, inside. Zara felt the sound before she understood it. A violent crack that ripped through the quiet like glass through skin. She was already moving when Dominic grabbed her wrist. "Stay behind me," he said. His voice wasn't loud. It was absolute. The house alarm screamed to life. Red lights strobed along the hallway. Somewhere downstairs, boots pounded. Shouts followed, short, sharp commands in a language Zara didn't understand but instinctively feared. Dominic pushed her into the wall beside the stairwell, placing himself fully in front of her. "Do not move," he said again. Another gunshot. Closer. Maya screamed upstairs. That sound snapped something deep inside Dominic. He didn't hesitate. He moved. Fast. Controlled. Lethal. "Stay here," he told Zara. Then he was gone. Lena had already locked the bedroom door. She stood in front of Maya with a lamp raised over her head, hands shaking, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Footsteps thundered up the stairs. A shadow passed under the door. Maya sobbed. "I don't want to go," she whispered. "I want Mama." Lena swallowed her own fear and knelt. "Look at me," she said, forcing her voice steady. "Whatever happens, you don't let go of me." The door handle rattled. Then silence. A single voice spoke from the hallway. Low. Familiar. "Lena." Her knees nearly gave out. "Dominic?" she whispered. The door opened. Dominic stood there, gun raised, suit splattered with blood that wasn't his. Behind him, one of his men lay unconscious on the floor. Another man, not his, didn't move at all. "It's over," Dominic said. But the words felt fragile, like a lie that hadn't decided yet. Downstairs, Zara stood frozen, as men dragged two bodies across the marble floor. One alive, one dead. The living one struggled weakly. Dominic approached him calmly. "You were told," Dominic said quietly, "to scare them." The man spat blood. "Orders change," he rasped. "Victor wants a woman." Dominic nodded slowly. Then he leaned down. "And what did Victor promise you?" he asked. The man laughed weakly. "Power." Dominic straightened. Then, without drama, he shot him. Zara gasped. Dominic turned to her immediately. "Go upstairs," he said. She didn't move. "Dominic," she whispered, "this won't stop." He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, he didn't hide the truth. "No," he said, "it won't." The next morning, Ravenport woke up buzzing. Sirens echoed in the distance. Rumors spread fast. But no police came to Dominic's house, because the calls they received were redirected. Dominic sat at the long dining table, hands folded, eyes unreadable. Across from him sat Zara, Lena, and Maya. The girls clutched mugs of hot chocolate, like anchors. Zara finally spoke. "This ends today," she said. Dominic didn't interrupt. "I won't live like this," she continued. "And I won't raise them like this. You promised." "I did," Dominic replied. Zara's voice cracked. "Then choose." Silence stretched. Dominic stood. He walked to the window, staring out at the city that had made him what he was. "I was 10 when my mother died," he said quietly. "I slept under a bridge the first week. Then a man found me." Zara listened, breath held. "He fed me," Dominic continued, "protected me, taught me how to survive." He turned. That man was Victor. Lena's eyes widened. "He saved you," she said. Dominic nodded. "Then he shaped me," he said, "into something useful, something dangerous." Zara stood. "You don't owe him your soul," she said. Dominic looked at her. "But I do owe you something," he replied. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folder. Legal documents, custody filings, guardianship papers, a trust. Zara stared. "What is this?" she asked. "Your future," Dominic said. "And there's—" Zara's hands shook as she flipped through the pages. "You can't just give us this." Dominic met her gaze. "I can," he said. "And I am—" Lena frowned. "What about you?" she asked. Dominic looked at her. "I'll handle what comes next," he said. Maya shook her head. "No," she said firmly. "Your family." The word hit harder than any bullet. Dominic didn't speak. Zara stepped closer. "If you walk away," she said softly, "you don't get to protect them anymore." Dominic closed his eyes. When he opened them, the decision was made. The meeting at the warehouse was brief. Victor smiled when Dominic entered alone. "You came to your senses," Victor said. Dominic didn't sit. "It's over," he said. Victor laughed. "You think you can just leave?" Dominic nodded once. "Yes." Victor's smile faded. "You leave," Victor said coldly. "You die." Dominic stepped forward. "So do you—" That was when the doors opened. Men entered. Not Victor's. Dominic's. Victor's eyes widened. "You planned this," he hissed. "I finished it," Dominic replied. Victor reached for his gun. Too slow. Dominic fired once. Victor collapsed, shock frozen on his face. The room held its breath. Dominic looked at the men. "Anyone who wants out," he said, "walks now." Half the room left. The rest bowed their heads. Dominic turned and walked away. He never looked back. 3 months later, the courtroom was full. Zara stood at the podium, hands steady this time. She had a home, a job, support. Behind her sat Lena and Maya, clean, smiling, safe. Dominic sat quietly in the back, suit plain, tattoos hidden. The judge spoke. "Permanent guardianship is granted." Maya cried. Lena smiled through tears. Zara closed her eyes in relief. Outside, sunlight spilled across the courthouse steps. Zara turned to Dominic. "It's done," she said. He nodded. "You're free," she added. Dominic looked at the girls, at the way Maya ran into his arms without fear, at the way Lena stood tall beside him. "I don't think I want to be," he said quietly. Zara's breath caught. Dominic took a slow step closer. "I'm not who I was," he said, "but I don't know who I am without them." Zara reached for his hand. "Then stay," she said. Dominic hesitated. Then, for the first time in his life, he chose something without fear. He stayed. The restaurant reopened under a new name. The dragon symbol was gone. Dominic still wore black, still walked with authority, but he no longer ruled with violence. He ruled with boundaries. At night, he helped Maya with homework. Lena learned to trust laughter again. Zara learned what peace felt like. And Dominic learned something he'd never believed possible. That family wasn't blood. It was choice. And sometimes The most dangerous man in the city becomes the safest place for the people who need him most.